Hello, everybody, and welcome to Game of the Day with Grandmaster Max Dlugy, looking at the 8th round of the Norway Chess tournament. And this was an interesting round indeed. All the games were extremely aggressive. Veselin Topalov, who was leading by 1.5 points going into the round, lost a point of that lead in today's round by losing to Topalov, while his nearest, one of his nearest competitors, Anand, won a nice game against Ludvig Hammer. And so let's take a look. Let's focus at today's round, and then I'll give you a snippet of an amazing game, amazing finish between Carlsen and Aronian, which could have gone either way. Let's take a look at Giri playing Topalov. So after the moves d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5, Anish decides to play the Carslen with g3, and Topalov plays a very topical bishop b4 check variation, forcing white's bishop to d2, and then retreating to e7. White plays a very typical way, bishop g2, castles, and after c6, queen c2. Black plays knight bd7, forcing white to figure out how to develop his pieces, and white plays rook d1. Now, black plays b6, and white has a number of moves, most notably bishop f4 and b3. Anish goes for b3, and black plays a very important move in this position, a5, to get the bishop to a6, a move that really is the best chance for black to equalize in this position. White has to rethink the way he plays and plays bishop c3 to move the knight to d2 and play for e4. And now bishop a6 is actually quite an interesting try, but instead Topalov plays it a little bit passively with bishop b7, and after knight d2 he strikes in the center with c5. The time that white spent moving his bishop is probably just enough for black to get a reasonable position here, and so he has to play actively in order to show that he can equalize. White plays knight e5, a move that was played twice before in high-level chess, and now black decides to exchange the center pawns by taking on d4 and then taking the knight on e5. At this point, I was quite happy with Topalov's play, thinking that he should now strike out with the knight against the bishop with knight g4, lining up his other bishop to go to c5. A possible way that the game could go would be bishop b2, bishop c5, e3, queen g5, and you can see that black is getting some activity here, while at the same time white still needs to prove that he has anything like an edge. He could play, for example, queen c3, but black could even play here on the against this wave on the queen side with a4, because now if b4, black can just retreat, and now a3 is in the air while bishop f6 is also in the offing. So this kind of play would be the way that I would expect Topalov to play. But Topalov was under stress here. The stress was his extra 1.5 points that he has over the field, and this stress prompted him to play passively, something that is not in his style, and this creates mistakes. And here he starts playing very passively. Instead of playing knight g4, he plays queen c8, a move that is destined to be the move that keeps the tournament open, because after this move, of course, white has a nagging edge that will never be that cannot be gotten rid of, because white's pieces are simply better placed. The queen on c8 is awfully placed, can only be exchanged off, but under the circumstances that white wants. So this is quite bad and really very uncharacteristic of Topalov to play a passive move like this. Let's see how Anish Giri makes use of it. He plays rook c1, and after pawn takes pawn, the only reason why the queen should go to c8 anyway, white takes on f6, black takes back